So Nigel, everything that the club's doing operationally at the moment, the key factor is safety, fans and staff.
Yeah, I mean that's been the case since probably late February, early March, when we sat and had discussions around the table about what we needed to do in case this thing arrived. So that's just continuing. The way it works now is, as time's gone on, the club's been given guidelines as to what the way it can operate. So we've had guidelines for small groups training, bigger contact training, behind closed doors games, academy football, and now we've got them for potentially bringing fans into matches. So the guidance that we're getting is developing all the time, but it's getting more and more prescriptive as to what we must do. Yeah, it's a challenge, but I think if we'd have done everything that we thought we might needed to do 2 months ago, it'd all have been redundant. So I think we've kind of done this the right way around, and the approach that we've taken is, as things are as certain as they can be that they need to be done, that's when we'll do them. And there's enough time to do that, rather than guessing and then finding there's been a waste of time.
Has it changed in relation to the SAG, the Safety Advisory Group, and how we manage this situation compared to a normal season?
A little bit. Normally, sort of from May time, we would start preparing for the renewal of the licence, so getting safety work done, certificated, any repairs done, all the standard stuff. Get the experts come in, they test everything, check we're all right, and building up to a SAG meeting in kind of June time, where we'd get a licence for the next year or get some remedial works all ready to go. So that hasn't changed. The timing again has just been changed. It's the same stuff. What form the SAG approval will take remains to be seen. Back in March, it looked like there wouldn't be a meeting at all, and it all be done remotely. It might change now. What we have got in the last couple of weeks is a whole new set of guidelines about socially distancing fans in the stadium. 85 pages long, about what we have to do to be allowed to bring fans into games in October, and that's what we're kind of looking at now and trying to see how that might work for us.
They're live discussions, aren't they? Because we've been involved in them this morning, for example, just throwing ideas around about how best to do this.
Exactly, and the rules are still draft, but I don't think they'll change materially. Fans might have seen that there was a test game at the Oval for a championship cricket game where they had 1,000 people in. They're working to exactly the same rules as we are, but for cricket. So, and there's going to be some test football matches as well to see how that might work. So we're kind of looking at the detail. Again, on Twitter I did I let the fans know some early examples of sort of things that we're looking at. And then again this morning, sort of Monday morning, I was coming to Carlisle. There was an interview with the chief of the Sports Grounds Safety Authority on Radio 4, and he was talking about what had happened at the Oval and lessons to be learned and things. It was quite interesting. He wasn't on long, and he only said 2 or 3 things, but one of them was that he was making a real point that fans themselves have to take responsibility and decide whether coming to a football match faced with the restrictions or arrangements that they're going to be faced with is something they should be doing. So they've got to think about, not great, I can go to a match, I'll buy a ticket. Is actually whether, should I really be going? Does my personal risk, the things in my family, mean I should be going, or should I be watching it on iFollow? So that was his first point. His next point was that he was looking for clubs to reconfigure their grounds to try and get socially distancing in, and that's going to be very much down to us to how we do it and demonstrate to our local safety team that we're complying with the guidance and that we're providing as safe an environment for fans as we can be. So that'll be things like getting fans in and out of the stadium. hospitality, queuing in toilets, things like that, buying tickets, a whole host of things. But he saw that as really important. And the third thing was, the reporter asked him, well, your guidance, and this is sort of typical of rule books. The guidance says fans, we recommend fans don't cheer, don't jump up and down, don't shout, all these kinds of things. And the question was, how realistic is that? And the guy said that it maybe wasn't realistic, but it's for him to suggest things with what best practices, and it's for clubs to then decide how they meet those rules. So how we can deal with that remains to be seen. But he specifically pointed out masks. So again, without preempting where all these debates are going, and I've been a big advocate of masks for months, it would seem to me that the experts are kind of catching up, and they're kind of saying, right, one of the ways that we can reduce the risk is if all supporters have masks. So it wouldn't surprise me if that kind of thing becomes required. And the other thing, one more thing which I thought was interesting, was he was emphasising that fans need to work with clubs and embrace the newer what they're going to be faced with. It is going to be very different, and fans need to play a part. So if it says you've got to stand in a certain spot, fans are going to have to stand in that certain spot. If it says you need to arrive at a certain time, you need to arrive at a certain time, and for the good of everybody. Otherwise, what we'll be faced with is risks seem to go up, and then capacities are dropped, so fans then can't come in. So it's in everybody's interest to try and work through this the best we can. Not going to be easy, and it's going to be lots of things that we don't want to do, so people won't be able to stand in, maybe not stand or sit in their normal seats, have the flexibility to get up and move around as they normally would. I don't know, these things have got to come out in the wash, but we've got to be prepared for that if we want to watch live football. And this goes back to the point I made about whether fans think that they want to come to the event based on the restrictions that they would face. So it kind of all goes around in a circle again.